It's time to tune into your higher frequency. It's a special edition of the Hope Show where Socratic Scourge meets metaphysical truth. And now, here are your Hope Show hosts, Eric Lamont and Tara Strength.
Hey, hello everybody. Glad you could be here with us. It is a special edition of the Hope Show. We are coming to you live tonight, wishing you peace and love wherever you are. Again, welcome. We do this show in hopes of helping our Hope Show family, that will be you, find truth and clarity in your life. You know, it's a lofty goal. We do this by tackling topics that people often ignore, those subjects that lurk beneath the surface and often prevent us from connecting with others. I'm Eric Lamont. I'm your co-host, along with the Mamba of metaphysical teaching, the Pontiff of purity,
yeah, man.
and
I'm all
the
of it.
man. Yeah, I've been saving
What's
this.
going on, Brother Lamont? What's going on?
This man will proudly tell you that he is indeed the worst wingman in America. Tara Strength. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing all right, brother. I'm doing all right. This is a shout out to all the wingmen that are out there. You know what I mean? Handle your business. Don't be like me.
Yeah, man. Listen,
Yeah.
I hope everybody is out there staying as warm as possible. The entire country is like a frozen tundra.
Absolutely.
But Terrace, this is going to be a rough one, man. I was thinking we may get picked up by ICE tonight when we're done, right?
Sure
they
will.
might be knocking on a door or two.
Dr. Lamont, the last thing I want to see is more ice. I'm here to tell you, okay? I hate ice right now, okay? I'm just going to tell you.
Exactly.
The bane of my existence.
Listen, yours and a lot of us, man.
Yes.
So, this is going to be the hardest episode we've done. You know, what you're about to see and hear will disturb you. It should disturb you. 2 American citizens are dead, killed by their own government agents, like in the streets of an American city. Their names are Renee Good and Alex Preddy. Renee was 37, a mother of 3, and she was shot 3 times by ICE agent Jonathan Ross. Mm-hmm. Alex, also 37, was an ICU nurse, and he was shot at least 10 times by Border Patrol agents. Mm-hmm. We're going to get right to it. We're going to start with Renee Good. We're going to show you video footage from multiple angles. But tonight, we're going to give it to you the way the federal government gave it to us by sharing with you a series of statements before the video surfaced. We're doing this so that you can be your own judge. Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm gonna cover a timeline real quick. So we're gonna add this to the stage. Again, guys, we're going live tonight, so a lot of the edits that we normally do in post-production, you're gonna see them here. So on January 6th, the Department of Homeland Security announced the largest immigration enforcement operation ever, sending 2,000 agents to the Minneapolis area. Now, we all hear about the illegal immigrants that are at the southern border. Like for years, we've heard that. So we could do another whole show about why they are in Minneapolis, of all places. But on January 6th, they sent 2,000 agents to Minneapolis. On January 7th, Renee Good was killed. So immediately after the announcement, the government went into spin mode, right? Almost immediately. And this was Kristi Noem, who was Homeland Security Secretary, who said, first we find out that an American citizen has been shot. And then the message from the government was, this vehicle was used to hit this officer. It was used as a weapon. And the officer feels as though his life was in jeopardy. It was used to perpetuate a violent act, and the officer took action to protect himself and to protect his fellow law enforcement officers. Again, that's Kristi Noem, National Security Secretary. Mm-hmm. Abigail Jackson, who was the White House spokesperson, then said, the entire Trump administration stands behind our heroic ICE officers who are conducting themselves with the utmost professionalism and integrity while making American communities safer. It is not an aggressive tactic to defend yourself from an individual using their car as a deadly weapon. ICE officers have a right to self-defense. Stephen Miller, White House Deputy Chief of Staff, said, "You have an immunity to perform your duties, and no one, no city official, no state official, no illegal alien, no leftist agitator, or domestic insurrectionist can prevent you from fulfilling your legal obligations and duties." So Stephen Miller's out there already calling her an illegal alien or a leftist agitator or domestic insurrectionist. Now, and mind you, we had an insurrection on January 6th, and all those people were pardoned, but now Renee Good is being called an insurrectionist by our government. And this, again, is before the video has surfaced. Then J.D. Vance, our vice president, said that the guy who shot Renee Good was protected by absolute immunity, which means no harm, no foul, can't do anything to him. He was doing his job. And you'll hear this. I'm not sure if it's going to show up on the video, but you will hear the officer, Jonathan Ross, who shot Renee Good, on his cell phone. He was recording this with his cell phone after he shot her, and she lost control of the car and hit the snowbank while she was dying and bleeding out. You can hear the officer call her a fucking bitch, right? And this is all on video, again, after the fact. For the record, Renee died of gunshot wounds to the chest. She had a gunshot wound in her left forearm and a possible head wound. So just with that, Terrace, before we show the video, my goodness. I mean,
it's outrageous. I mean, let's be honest, Eric. I mean, we've seen this in this country throughout history. We've seen this type of behavior before. It goes on around the world, in different countries and everything. And this is why we're doing the show about it. I mean, this person was pretty much murdered in broad daylight. So.
Yeah, so let's go to the video. This is the footage that surfaced again after the government made the statements. This is the video that surfaced. I'm going to make sure that our video can be seen. Let's add this to the stage. Whoops, I'm sorry. So this is the video. I'm going to warn you that this is graphic. If you have a weak stomach, you might prepare yourself, but understand that we want to bring the truth to you and allow you to see it.
This is a cell phone video filmed by the ICE agent who shot and killed Renee Good in Minneapolis. The White House press secretary said this footage reaffirmed President Trump's previous claim, based on other videos, that Miss Good, quote, didn't try to run him over, she ran him over.
Out of the ball.
Watched in isolation, the cell phone video might look like that's the case. But when analyzed alongside other angles of the shooting, synchronized by the times, a much more complicated picture is revealed. More footage will likely emerge, but the currently available visual evidence still shows no indication Agent Jonathan Ross got run over. The footage does provide some visibility into the positioning between the agent and Miss Good's SUV and the key moments of escalation. And it establishes, frame by frame, how Agent Ross put himself in a dangerous position near her vehicle in the first place. About 3 minutes before the shooting, footage shows Miss Good and her wife park their maroon SUV in the middle of the street and begin honking and heckling. Administration officials say they were impeding and blocking immigration agents. Footage shows 11 vehicles maneuver around the SUV, including this Chevy Tahoe driven by Agent Ross. When he exits, he's already filming Miss Good's SUV, not with a body camera typical of most law enforcement, but using a cell phone in his hand. It's not clear why. The agent's footage shows his interactions with Miss Good.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you.
And her wife.
I'm not mad at you. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning.
There's verbal jabbing.
It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking country. You want to come at us?
we see the agent switching the phone from his right hand to his left as he heads toward the front seat of his Tahoe.
I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy.
During this time, on the other side of the SUV, 2 new agents arrive in a pickup. We see Miss Good motions them to go around her.
Okay. Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car.
Over the next 6 seconds,
Out of the car.
we see one agent reaching into the SUV, Miss Good starting to drive, then Agent Ross firing 3 shots. Now let's go back and analyze some of the key contested moments of the agent's cell phone video, alongside other footage to break down what happens during these critical 6 seconds. Here, the agent's cell phone footage shows he's moving directly in front of the SUV, as it's reversing and rotating towards him, initiating a 3-point turn apparently to leave. Law enforcement officers are trained to avoid doing this because it puts them in danger and often leads to the use of force against drivers. The cell phone is focused squarely on Miss Good. She looks down, shifts into drive, and begins turning to the right, away from the agent. Cut to this high angle and zoom in. We can make out the agent's body and his arm filming. We can also see, at the same time, he's beginning to lift his other arm. On these cameras, we can see what's happening around Agent Ross. The other agent is yelling orders and reaching into Miss Good's SUV. Her front tire spins as she continues turning right. Agent Ross is at least a few feet away from Miss Good's SUV. He does not appear to move out of the way. As the SUV rolls forward, the agent unholsters his firearm. We see in his cell phone video at this moment the camera drifting off to the left. The agent is no longer focused on filming. It's at this point in the cell phone video where it first looks and sounds like the agent's getting knocked violently. On the other camera, we can see what's happening. Here is Agent Ross aiming his gun at Miss Good. And here is his outstretched arm leaning toward her vehicle, which is barely visible behind the Tahoe. His phone, which is gripped in his left hand, flips over when the agent's hand lands on the front of the vehicle. There's an audible thud when it hits. The camera rotates up towards the sky. Again, while it appears the agent's getting knocked over, we can see that's not the case from the other angle, which shows he's standing with his hand near the headlight, his torso and legs away from the vehicle. In the cell phone footage, the agent's face flashes on screen, then it goes black. The other angle shows us why. We can see the agent's foot sliding, his hand bracing against the SUV, and his arm getting pressed into his chest. It is impossible to determine if this is happening because of the SUV's movement or the icy asphalt, or more likely, both. And what's very unclear because of the limited quality and availability of footage is whether the agent's upper body gets swiped by the vehicle as his left foot slides back. This moment is when Agent Ross fires. We see the other agent pull back from the SUV. Both of them stumble, apparently slipping on the ice. This is also the moment many have said looks like Agent Ross getting run over. And it does when watched at full speed. But looking more closely, we can see in multiple angles that there's a visible gap between the vehicle and his legs, indicating his feet are positioned outside the SUV's path. The agent's left hand is still against the vehicle and gripping his phone. We see as he fires, it's recording the clouds and the trees overhead. It's not because the agent is knocked to the ground. The other angle shows he's still standing, continuing to maintain his grip on his phone and his gun, and we see a clear and growing gap between his body and the SUV as he fires a second shot and a third. None of the bullets have the effect of stopping the SUV, but they kill Renee Good. According to our analysis of audio from Agent Ross's cell phone video, this is his reaction.
Fucking bitch. What the fuck? What the fuck did you do?
According to a White House spokesperson, Agent Ross, quote, suffered internal bleeding after he was struck by the car.
Shame! Shame! Shame!
Later that evening, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said that he had been treated at a local hospital and released.
Well, he didn't look like he was suffering from any internal bleeding as he was walking down the street, shortly after he called her a bitch. Here's some facts. He walked around her car a couple of times. We know that she was in a car. The video did showing her turning her steering wheel to the right and away from agents. He fired 3 shots at her, killed her. ICE agents trained in CPR did not administer CPR on her in that moment. And then federal investigators blocked the state investigators once they got to the scene. You might remember the community response. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey told ICE to get the F out of Minneapolis. Tim Walz proclaimed January 9th Renee Good Day. And 6 prosecutors from the FBI resigned over the investigation, the way the investigation was handled. And so it, look, it stinks to high heavens, right? I mean, that just absolutely stinks to high heavens. So, again, it's just one of those things where, you can make your own judgment about what happened. But from my perspective, she was in a great mood. She was actually kind of teasing the guy like, hey, I'm not mad at you, right? Doing what is obviously, a right in America, which is peacefully protesting is protected by the Constitution. But they decided that they had enough of her and they shot her. And the other thing is, you noticed they were all wearing masks, which means they know they're up to no good and they don't want to be seen doing it. And so, again, just a tragic event.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, the whole thing is disturbing to me. And if you've heard my other shows, you know how I process things like this, that we all create our reality, right? Absolutely right that we have a right to protest, and we should try to stand up for what's right. We should try to protect and defend. Absolutely, that's important, and we're going to talk about why looking away is considered spiritual abdication. But the optics on that, she got shot. That absolutely is unfortunate. Them stopping them, and if there's protests, it's just, to me, it's just asking for more problems. We have the right to do it. I think it's bad on both sides, to be honest.
You sound like Donald Trump.
Yeah,
it's good on both sides. That's what he said after the Charlottesville riots. They're good on both sides.
Well,
and
for him,
I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to disagree with you.
Yeah, for him to say that, because she got shot, and obviously it looks like murder, right?
Well, it was murder.
But like I said, and you and I have had conversations about this.
Was it murder or wasn't it murder?
You have to listen.
It was murder.
I don't trust any of them.
I understand that, but was it murder or was it not murder?
I'm not gonna be out here stopping traffic from ICE agents and doing this stuff when we see what's going on. Now, we have the right to do it. I think we need to do it in a way to protect yourselves. But I don't get it, because these guys clearly undertrained, overly paid. Yeah. Enforced by something. We don't know what the hell that is. I think we have to be more careful and protect ourselves.
Well, I can understand why you say that, and I'm going to show you why I disagree with that in a minute. Let's get into the Alex Preddy story. We know that Alex was shot 3 times, bullet wounds in his back, one in his upper chest, pops his neck, one shot from different angles. Right, we know that. I'm sorry. Actually, that's not Alex Preddy. That's actually
that was Renee. That was
Renee. Yeah. So let's get into Alex Preddy. So the message from Alex Preddy, after Alex Preddy was shot again, same thing happens, right? Alex gets shot. He was a 37-year-old American citizen, ICU nurse at a VA hospital. So this is a guy who was every day serving veterans, licensed to legally carry a firearm. He was a member of Professional Local 3669 of the American Federation of Government Employees, and he was at the scene as a legal observer / protester. Alex gets shot. And Greg Bavino, who was the border control commander at the time, said that they were targeting someone with a significant criminal history. He should not have brought a gun to a peaceful protest. You forget that Kyle Rittenhouse brought a gun to a peaceful protest. These same groups of people with these political views that there was nothing wrong with that. But they were blaming Alex for having a gun. He shouldn't have had a gun at a peaceful protest. Heard that from multiple sources at the government. What people don't know is I managed to find this. This was published by Politico. These are RNC talking points after the shooting. So Alex gets shot, and then the Republican National Committee creates talking points for their Republicans. And so when you see them on television in the days to come, they were telling them very specifically what to say. I invite you to Google this because you will see here that they immediately started a smear campaign about Alex and tried to make sure that Americans believe that he was an agitator, that he was up to no good, again, domestic terrorist, and that the ICE agents were doing their job when they shot him. They actually said before the video came out that he was charging at them with a handgun. Trying to do damage to them, right? This is a message from Alex's parents. They felt in the aftermath of this that it was important for them to get their own statement out to counteract what the federal government said. We are heartbroken, but also very angry. Alex was a kind-hearted soul who cared deeply for his family and friends, and also the American veterans whom he cared for as an ICU nurse at Minnesota VA hospital. He wanted to make a difference in this world. Unfortunately, we will not be able to see his impact. They actually challenged the Trump administration for murdering him and behaving in a cowardly manner, and talked about the fact that he had a cell phone in his hand and not a handgun. Right now, you and I, Terrace, I know where you're coming from, saying that maybe we should not be protesting, because I know in the history of our country there have been a whole lot of African Americans who have been shot carrying
water hose
or
sandwiches, hung.
Right, where we
were. But listen, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't protest. Okay, it doesn't mean that
you say that. You have me concerned.
Okay, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't protest. But I feel like if we're gonna do it, if that's the case, it needs to be enough of us, and we need to all be strapped. You can't have one rogue guy out there against a bunch of agents. If we're going to do it and we understand what we up against, then everyone is strapped.
Right.
Okay. And then now it's just a bang bang shootout or something like that. But you have to protect yourselves if you're going to do something like that. And there are other ways to protest, just like what we're doing right now. We have the Hope Show. We're doing this to talk about it and to chop it up with our listening audience and everything. You have to protect yourselves. Like the thing that concerns me, because it's a big topic, because they got shot and killed, and to me it looks like murder. Okay, to me, okay. But when you look at them, like I think the guy, I think he was with a woman, she got slapped or something like that or whatever. Like what are you doing this? If this is you and I, okay, and we're gonna go protest ICE. Mm-hmm. I'm like Eric, we're gonna have a long discussion about this. Now we both disagree with the methods and what's going on, both of us. But I promise you, we're gonna have a long conversation about how we're gonna do this. Okay, we need to have a conversation. If this thing goes sideways, we're not going to bring our wives and girlfriends and children out with us. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we're acknowledging that this is not being done in the right way. The guys are not trained. Some of them are unstable, been killing before. They've been imbued with money, and this is to enforce someone else's crazy agenda, right? So in their mind, they're doing the right thing. They're doing the right thing by doing this because they're enforcing their agenda. And so they're going to say it like we're stopping them from doing their job. Right or wrong, that's how they're going to look at it. So
Yeah,
because of that, we got to think about our approach.
Yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but you know that the only thing that is capable of standing up to power is power. And in this country, protest has been the one thing that has forced our governments to take notice, even if they don't want to take notice, even if they don't like some of the policies and laws that they have to create. When you have tens of thousands of people clogging up streets, it's kind of hard to hide from that, right? It's kind of hard. So I want to put up the Alex. First of all, thanks to the New York Times, because that analysis came from the New York Times. This one is CNN. So let's take a look at this.
Right.
Show you a video that CNN just obtained of the shooting, and I'm going to overlay on the video of the shooting of Alex Preddy the description of the shooting that we all heard from the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. And I want you to see if her description matches what you see in the video. The first image you're going to see is Alex Preddy, this 37-year-old ICU nurse from the Minneapolis VA who was shot and killed today by federal agents. The first image you're going to see is him standing in the middle of the street of Minneapolis, holding his cell phone, filming these federal agents.
An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines with ammunition in them that held dozens of rounds. He also had no ID. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at this scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
There's still a lot we don't know about this shooting. Apparently, Preddy had a gun on him. He also had a concealed carry permit, according to law enforcement. It looks as though in the video that his gun was taken from him by law enforcement before he was shot. It also looks as though he never actually held his gun or reached for his gun, at least based on the 3 or 4 videos we've seen of the event. Still a lot of unanswered questions, but just tell me what you think. Did what you saw on that video square with how Secretary Noem described it?
I'm sorry, I was muted. I'll say no. Does that square with how it was described to you?
No.
Of course not.
Yeah, no.
Of course not. So, I think there is something larger here, right? So this is where I want to offer to you, Terrace, and to our Hope Show family, what I like to call a spoonful of truth, right? Minneapolis has had 3 homicides in 2026 so far this year. 2 of them were committed by federal agents. All right. Minneapolis police recovered 900 guns last year. They arrested hundreds of violent offenders and did not shoot a single citizen. Mm-hmm. That means there are 900 opportunities, potentially, if you look at it this way, for them to shoot someone. Didn't happen one time in the city of Minneapolis. It's happened twice with federal agents. This was the 9th time that ICE agents have opened fire since September of 2025 across 5 states. So again, just in the matter of what amounts to 5 months, maybe, they've shot 9 times. They've used a weapon 9 times. 32 people died while in ICE custody in 2025. 32 people while in custody died in 2025. So, I'd like to say real quick, here's what happened next. Obviously, there was some national protests. The ACLU and some of their partners filed 2 lawsuits challenging warrantless arrests. Like, for the longest time, you couldn't arrest someone without a warrant, right? I mean, you couldn't go after someone and pick them up unless you had a warrant. Like, they did something and you witnessed something or you knew something, yeah, you could do it, but you couldn't do warrantless arrest. And so they filed lawsuits challenging these warrantless arrests that are being perpetrated by the federal agents, racial profiling and violence against protesters. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison is trying to oust ICE and Border Patrol from Minneapolis or from Minnesota as we speak. The thing that was lost in all of this is that the Trump administration, reached out to Minnesota and said, we'll get the agents out of Minnesota if you turn over your voting records to us. Think about that, right? Because they've been lying about the theft of an election for a number of years, and now it seems like they might be trying to steal one, because if they get a hold of the voting records, then they can create reasons to get people off. But the backdrop of all this, and again, not trying to make this political, but the politics is there.
As always,
they said, we will take the agents out if you give us the voting records, right? And so obviously Minnesota said, hell no. And also since then, and we joked a little bit about us being picked up after this show, but Don Lemon and some other African-American journalists were arrested last week. I'm sorry?
No, they were picked up.
Yeah, Don Lemon was arrested for doing what journalists do, which is trying to get the truth out, and they were arrested. So, and then since then, some footage was released of Preddy that said, it showed him kicking an ICE vehicle, spitting at an ICE vehicle from 11 days prior. And so Donald Trump then again went back on the offensive and started to call Preddy names again. While I have that in your thought, I wanted to share one more video if I can get it teed up. And I'll do that, and I'll do that now. So I actually found this video of Alex Preddy, right, which kind of shows the kind of guy that he really is. And this is a video that surfaced that showed that he's not a domestic terrorist. He's actually a pretty decent guy. So let's see if I can get this teed up. So this is a video that showed this was Alex Preddy, who worked again with veterans at the VA hospital.
Loss of a man, those who knew him say he was a person who helped others.
Today we remember that freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it. May we never forget and always remember our brothers and sisters who have served so that we may enjoy the gift of freedom. So in this moment, we remember and give thanks for their dedication and selfless service to our nation in the cause of our freedom. In this solemn hour, we render them our honor and our gratitude.
This is video shared with WCCO from Mac Randolph, who says Preddy was his father's ICU nurse. The video shows Preddy giving him his final salute at the VA after he passed.
Come on, man. Like, okay, right? Yeah, he kicked an ICE car, right? And spitting is the most vile thing you could do to a person, but he didn't spit on another human being. I think he spit on the ICE vehicle, right? But that's the kind of guy that we took out of America. I mean, at the end of the day, he had a lot to give to our country, and we should not only be mourning the loss of someone like that, but we should be very frustrated that someone like that was taken from us by the government. I mean, let's be real. Senseless killing is senseless killing. Senseless killing by the government seems like it's 10 times worse to me somehow, right? I wanted to make this point, Terrace, because you talked earlier about protesting and whether or not it was important to do this. Right. So for those of our guests that, for those of our family have never really dug into this, if you know me well enough, if you know me well, you know me well enough to know that, as a former newspaper president and someone who spent a career bringing news to people every day, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, which I grew up in Gary, Indiana, and and all black town where the teenage unemployment rate was 90%, and the regular unemployment rate was probably 50% once the steel mills closed. Very similar to Flint, Michigan. I had friends who just did not believe in celebrating the 4th of July. One of my very best friends called it the 4th of they lied, right? And so the whole concept of American history, I took AP history in high school and hated it, but the whole concept of American history and all the things that kind of made this country great was just lost on me just because of how I grew up and where I grew up. But then I kind of learned something, and I came to realize that this country is a country of laws, and the laws are what make it possible for us to do what we do every day, even us doing this podcast, right? And so government, the importance of government and voting has always been very important to me. So this is the Bill of Rights. And you'll see right there, this was ratified in 1791. You see there, the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights says, it is designed to protect freedom of religion, which means you have a right to study whatever God you want to study, or none God. That is your right as an American citizen. It is the law of the land, right? You have a freedom of religious choice. The government cannot tell you that you have to be a Christian or a Muslim or whatever, right? That is a right that was granted to us in the Bill of Rights. Freedom of speech, which means you can say whatever you want in this country without persecution, right? Now, there are some limits to that. You can't run into a movie theater and yell fire, right? Can't do that. Put other people at risk. But what you can do is stand on the sideline and tell ICE to get the F out of your neighborhood, right? That is a right that you are granted by the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. The next one says freedom of assembly, right? And that basically means if you want to protest, you can stand anywhere in this country as long as you're doing it peacefully, right? You can stand anywhere in this country and peacefully protest and say what you want to say and not be, addressed or punished by the government. And the last one is to petition the government for a redress, right? Which means if the government does something and you don't like it, you have a right to petition the government to address it. That's the First Amendment right. And when you look at what happened in this situation, right, both Renee and Alex were expressing their First Amendment rights, right? Freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. And now since, the press, I guess, has, the whole concept of user-generated content has allowed everyone to be journalists. So if you want to video something or record something, all of that stuff is guaranteed by the Bill of Rights. And what we saw in both of those videos is they were stripped and denied of those rights by federal agents who won't even show their faces to do it, which is why they're not showing their faces, by the way, right? And so I just wanted to make the point that they violated the First Amendment in both of those cases. And then the Second Amendment, which we often hear a certain group of our country talks about protecting the Second Amendment. Anytime we have a school shooting in this country, anytime there's a major school shooting, we hear about thoughts and prayers. But we also hear it's okay, we got to protect our Second Amendment rights. Everybody has a right to have a gun, right? Protect the Second Amendment protects the right to keep and bear arms. And so Alex was protected by the Second Amendment. He had a right to have that gun. He did not brandish it. He did not pull
Absolutely.
it out of his waistband. And so what we see here is that both the First and Second Amendment were violated in both of those cases. So the reason why I want to bring this up is because kind of where we are in this country. We obviously had the Bill of Rights, which was in the 1700s. And I want to put this out there because a person who's very close to me has basically said what we are watching here is an erosion of our rights and a rollback of those rights. And so I want to put this out here because this person has predicted that this is what's next. Like if we don't stand up and protest, if the people like Alex and Renee don't stand up and protest what's happening now, these amendments could be next. These are the rights that we could lose too. The 13th Amendment, which was passed in 1865, abolished slavery and involuntary servitude, right? And it's not too far of a stretch to believe that if they think they can roll up in your neighborhood and stop you, and if you protest, they can shoot and kill you, who's to say that they can't grab people off the street and start making them work? Because the way it works right now with warrantless arrest, they could grab you tonight, right? And say that you're a threat to society and ship you off somewhere and have you working, like a bow-legged servant, and you won't be able to do anything about it. So be mindful of that. In the 14th Amendment, which is very important, granted citizenships to all persons born or naturalized in the U.S., including formerly enslaved people, guaranteeing due process of law and ensured equal protection of the laws for all citizens against state infringement. So what that basically means is if you come here to this country and you are a naturalized citizen, ICE doesn't have a right to stop you. If you are naturalized here, right, and you're guaranteed due process of law, what we're seeing is that we're snatching people off the streets and denying them due process of law. So we're already eating into the 14th Amendment, right? And then the 15th Amendment prohibited federal and state governments from denying a citizen the right to vote on the citizen's race, color, or previous condition of servitude. So the fact that they actually asked for an exchange of voting records in order to, so we're going to violate Amendment 1 and 2. And if you want us to stop them violating Amendment 1 and 2, we're going to violate the 15th, right? In order to do that. And so to your point, Terrace, and I think this is a good jumping off point. We talked a lot about in this country about Project 2025. I invite you to get on the Myriad websites and take a look at it. But all of these tactics and all of these conversations, at the end of the day, if the government can stand up after seeing a woman who was a mother of 3 shot in the face, and the government can stand up and say that it was justified, and a guy who works with veterans gets shot while trying to help protect another woman who was being pepper sprayed, which I don't know about you, but I was raised to help women and come to the defense of women. This guy was coming to the defense of a woman, and he gets shot 10 times. That all of this is kind of signaling that there's a giant lack of empathy in this country for anyone that's not a white male Republican. I know we're going to get some letters from that, but that is kind of what I see here. Like if you are not of a certain class, a certain race, a certain religion, our government, our country now has no empathy for you.
Right. Well, that's what the Hope Show. That's what the Hope Show is about.
So what do you think about that?
When it's just it's more the same. This has been something that this country has been struggling with for over 200 years. It's been struggling with that, right? I mean, we are still, back in the day was a lot more. Now we see 2 people being killed protesting. This is something that we've always struggled with. In the United States of America, we have to move differently. We have to pay attention to what we're doing. We have to make sure that we're looking out for others, that we have empathy for others, and we analyze how we move. You have to do that here. You know, this is an awareness realm, right? It's all about awareness, and you have to. And I've said this tons of times on my shows that you need to be skeptical. You know, you need to remain skeptical of all of those. You talked about all the amendments; they've all been violated throughout our history. And when they're violated, then what? You go to court and they're violated. People are dead. They've always been violated. You have to have a healthy skepticism in order to move in this realm. You have to have a healthy skepticism, right? In order to move in this country. And I'm sure in many other countries, you know, we give a lot of times, I feel like in our country, we give the illusion of freedom. It's an illusion. And you have to understand that it tends to be about the haves and the have-nots. That's what it's about. We always think it's a color thing. It's about the haves and the have-nots. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And so it's the lack of empathy from the haves to the have-nots. But there, right. But let's be real about it. 98% of America are in the have-not category based on that definition,
of course,
right? Of course, right. So, I
just don't recommend that you buy into all of the false advertisement. That's all I'm saying. Okay, there are some things that this country excels at, and that we benefit. You have a much better time moving when you understand that about this country. That you have to be careful, okay? Because it will suck you into believing that you may have rights that you find out you don't really have.
So I want to stick with that briefly. So what's the solution for that, right? I get what you're saying, right? But at the end of the day, we still have to live here, and we still have to fight for the rights that we have.
And we do live
here.
They
will take
right?
it, right?
Listen. You and I have made it to almost, well, at least me. I'll put me. I ain't gonna say how old you are.
Yeah, do not tell my age on this show, brother.
35, 34.
I'm 37.
I've made it to about 60 years old. Okay?
I'll be 37 for the 28th year next week. Yeah, or next month. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, we have made it. Okay, we have made it, and we didn't make it by not believing everything that this country has told us that is okay. Okay, we've had a healthy skepticism. We've tried to do right by our fellow man and to pay attention and to follow our intuition, right? There are many others who have not made it to our age in this country because for whatever reason, fortunate or unfortunate, right? But we're here. And all I'm saying is that the more you learn, the more you love, the more you seek to learn, it ends up being more of an advantage for you to navigate this, So yes, I mean, you're right.
So there clearly are some systemic issues, right? And there's clearly is a situation where the federal government is preventing accountability. There's clearly a lack of oversight, and our government is pumping $170 billion into enforcement. And so to your point about protesting, we have to stand up, right? But how do we as a country teach more empathy and experience more empathy as a nation? You see, I'm wearing my shirt today. Some people probably thought this was a MAGA shirt, but it actually says "Make America Civil Again," which is a great opportunity for us to mention our sponsors. I didn't mention them at the start of the show, given the gravity of the show, but democracyheadquarters.com, where you can find this shirt and shirt like it, "Make America Civil Again." So, Terrence, how do we make America civil again? Like, how do, we've often talked about, how this may or may not have started when our country elected African-American President Barack Obama, and stuff's been weird since, right? And we ended up with Donald Trump the first time, Joe Biden, and then Donald Trump the second time. How do we get back to America being civil?
So here's what happens. So everyone starts acting out when they feel like they're not getting their needs met, right? They're not getting what they want. You know, they're not getting what they want out of this administration. Their life is not going the way they planned, right? And it's somebody else's fault for it, right? Because you can always find somebody to blame it on. So
Right,
what
yeah.
better, so
The
what
American
better,
way.
right? So what better to blame it on than your president? Okay, if he wasn't in office, blah 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 blah, right? We always tend to want to look outside of ourselves for the problems that we have. And so if I have any advice for how we can turn things around, we have to start looking inward and versus projecting our inadequacies or our failures outward. We have to start doing that. And when we can make that shift to look inside, all of a sudden it looks and feels different. When we hold ourselves accountable, we don't want to hold ourselves accountable. Even looking at our political process. Our political process is about manipulating and berating the other opponent to show their failures and inadequacies. I got to find dirt on Eric. So I want you to elect me because I have found more dirt on him than he's found on me. Think about that process. And then we pick somebody. And then when they get in and they act like jerk-offs, we're all shocked. What are we doing?
That's a very valid point.
It's
That's
not
a
even
very
based
valid
on,
point.
It's not even based on character. It's not even based on that. It's based on who has a better smear campaign.
So let me ask you a question though. So yeah, I get that, but doesn't the president, particularly the American president, kind of set the tone for not only America, but the rest of the world? That's part of the job. Part of the job is if you are the leader of the free world, how you approach things affects the mood. It affects the direction. It affects all of that. And so you can look at me and say, we can't blame Trump, but isn't this that we're experiencing now, the fact that he got into office and he's blaming everybody that's not he's blaming the African-Americans,
like I
male
said,
and female. Let me finish. I got to make this point. He's blaming African-American male. Like after that plane crash in New York, shortly after they took office, they blamed the plane crash on DEI. Even though if you interview most people who talk about DEI, they can't even tell you what DEI stands for, right? But
they can't spell DEI.
They can spell it, but when you say what is DEI, they're like, "Oh, it's bad. I know it's bad. We got to get rid of it." Well, what is it? Well, I don't know, but it's got to go, right? And so this administration started blaming anybody that was not a white male Republican for everything that happens bad in our society. So it's one thing for you to say, "Hey, Hope Show family, handle your business," right? It's not blaming everybody else. It's something else to live in a society where we get blamed for everything. We get blamed for everything, good or bad, right? I mean, listen, and I'm not going to say that Joe Biden was awake for the last 2 years of his presidency because I don't know. I wasn't there, right? There's a good chance he was asleep for a couple of years, but he's still getting blamed for stuff now. And he's been out of office for a year because that's what our country has come to. Right?
Yeah,
Our country has turned into let's blame this person, let's blame that person, right. Let's blame minorities for why we can't get jobs, right? Let's blame let's up in Minnesota. Let's blame the Somalis or for the $1 billion in fraud, right? Like that's it. Like it seems like that's a challenge, and so I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and all your points, Eric.
But how do you stop that? My question: how do we stop the sniping? What's the spiritual approach to stopping the hatred that we see in vitriol we seem to throw?
The spiritual approach to that is to realize that we are all connected and that we all live here together and we will make it together or we will fail together. That's the spiritual way to understand that we're connected. And so, whoever's in office is not going to please everybody. Whoever it is not going to please everybody. The question is, who are we going to be when we don't get our needs met? Then who are we? And how do we handle it? Some of us go out and kill, right? Some of us go out and find more people to help. We have to decide who are we going to be when things don't go our way.
Yeah.
Right? Do we band together? and hunker down and help our fellow man? Or do we do more sniping? I mean, we see this in professional sports all the time. Teams that go through the adversity and band together and they grow from it instead of becoming fractured and splintered. So as a society, which way are we going to go when this happens? Okay? Because like I said, unfortunately, there's a big portion of the society that voted for Donald Trump and likes Donald Trump.
30%, 35%, maybe 30%.
There are many of us that may not. But who are we going to be when we're not getting what we want from this administration? And it goes for any administration, because we still got to coexist together. And how do we move? So it's nothing wrong with holding our elected officials accountable. We should do that. And as a society, we should do that. We should maintain and do that. But we need to be civil. I'm not looking to my president to tell me how to raise my family or who to be. Okay. I'm not doing that. And you probably aren't doing that either. Okay. There's a deeper game. But as our elected officials, we should hold them accountable, and they have a responsibility to us also.
Yeah.
So we have to find that happy medium.
Yeah. The flip side of that is I'm not, right. And, and all my kids are grown, but the flip side of that is I did have to sit down with my son and try to talk him off the ledge, because he was, one African-American child hanging out with 13 Caucasian children. And somebody called the cops. They were hanging out at a school. And someone called the cops, and the police showed up. And the only person that was made to lie face down on the ground, and who had a taser pointed at him, was my son. Right. And so, I'm not looking for leadership to help me raise my kids. Right. But I am looking for leadership to understand what you said, that we're all in this together. Right.
Absolutely.
And I think the challenge that we have right now is that when you look at people like Renee Good and Alex Preddy, that when those of us that believe in standing up for the rights of others actually do that, where we are in this country right now, because of general lack of empathy, is that you can end up with a bullet in your neck. Right?
Exactly. And we all have our battles. Now, I have a son, and he's in training to be an ICE agent. You know what I mean? And I gotta deal with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm joking. Listen to the audience. I'm joking. Okay.
He is in training though. Somewhere.
Yeah. So
I've seen some of his photographs. He looks like he's always training. So for the record, walking around looking like African American god.
Listen. Exactly.
Hey, we've had a call. We've had a couple of calls, and I see them. I'm going to invite a couple of people. I missed them to call back. So if you're out there and you want to try to get in, please call the number now. But in the meantime,
I'm going to get a minute. I'm sure
So we got a call coming in right now. Put you on speaker here.
Yo, what's up, Eric?
Hey,
Sherman.
Hey, Sherman, how you doing? Where you calling from, Sherman?
I'm calling from Newport News, Virginia.
Excellent. I've never been to Newport News, but I hear it's phenomenal.
Well, it's the birthplace of Ella Fitzgerald, so it's got some things going for it.
All right, there you go.
Birthplace of Ella Fitzgerald?
Yeah.
So we have an elementary school named for her and everything.
I did not know that. As a huge jazz fan, I feel like I should know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Ella was one of those people, man. She did not need auto-tune. All she needed was a microphone, and she'd stand back, right? That's Ella. That's Ella.
From her youth to her old age.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sherman, what do you want to talk about? Got a message for us?
Oh, so if you guys want to cover immigration and ICE, I got stories. So
you got a couple stories for us?
Oh, I got stories. So what I'll tell you is to me, the elephant in the room, is tragic as what happened to Mr. Preddy and Miss Good is. To me, the elephant in the room is the fact that essentially their white privilege card was pulled. Because basically I mean, come on.
That's a really powerful statement. Yeah.
Basically, look, our situation is such that a police officer can literally execute someone if he or she can convince their superiors that they thought their life was in danger.
Right.
That's the standard.
Right.
Right. So, standing in front of a car, whether you put yourself there or not, obviously met the standard. Pulling out a cell phone. Oh, I thought it was a gun. We've lost plenty of people like that. So I think that to a certain extent that goes to the issue of policing, but it also ties in the issue of racism, because when we talk about the southern border, we always talk about border patrol and fences and walls. But when we talk about the northern border, that's the one that we brag is the longest unguarded border in the world.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
The ICE agents, I'm like, there are people, there's something called the visa waiver program, which allows people from European countries to come to the United States without going to the embassy. Just show your passport at the gate and walk on in for an automatic 90 days. And people overstay those visas all the time. In fact, there was an attempted assassin of Trump who was an overstay from England that you don't hear, that no one talks about anymore. But the bottom line is, ICE ain't running around trying to figure out which Europeans overstayed their visas. ICE ain't running around trying to figure out which Canadians have been here too long. ICE is looking at the way people talk. ICE is looking at the way the people look. And, we need to, put the, call out the elephant in the room that this whole immigration deal, in my humble opinion, is racist. Certain people are favored immigrants, other people are not. And this isn't the first time in our history. When it was World War II and the Japanese weren't the favorite, all of a sudden their civil rights evaporated. Put them in internment camps. So America's struggled with this since the beginning. The thing that I would say about what's happening now is, to a certain extent, I think the argument that we have as African Americans with other immigrant groups is other immigrant groups want to talk to us about America the brochure. And African Americans know America the reality. And those are two different places, right? America the brochure is the Bill of Rights that you just put up there. But you have to remember that all modern gun laws have their original genesis in the disarming of the Black Panthers who came to protest in California. And then Governor Ronald Reagan, Mr. Second Amendment Republican president himself, signed the legislation that became the model for all modern gun legislation in America. So even they'll move when it suits them, they'll move the goalpost.
Yeah.
And I think that we've seen that.
Yeah. So Terrace, real quick for you, based on everything that Mr. Sherman, thank you very much for your comments. Terrace, based on what Sherman said there, we're all in this together, and Sherman said that we're really not, right? So again, where's the bridge? Like, how do we bridge from where we are to where we need to get?
What Sherman,
that was a great call, Sherman. Thanks for calling in.
What Sherman so eloquently explained was that we all have different perspectives down here, right? And we all have different agendas and alliances and things like that. And part of navigating this is to understand what's really going on and to move accordingly. To move it, because everyone wants to move in their own best self-interest. I mean, it's what happens and everything. And he's right. I mean, what he's saying is not wrong. I mean, I agree. But that's I use one of your words. That's being comfortable with our contradictions.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it is.
All right. Well, I think I want to real quick give some healing resources, and then I know you have some wrap up points. Like, we know we just scratched the surface with this, and again, as most of our shows are, Terrace, we could probably talk for another 3 days just about this topic. But here's some healing resources, legal support if you are struggling with any of this, and your family's under siege for whatever reason. American Civil Liberties Union has an 800 number, 888-567-ACLU. You can also reach out to the National Lawyers Guild. There are some immigration legal aid organizations. Just go to your search engine, your browser, type it in, and also do a search on Know Your Rights resources. There's some very good resources particularly as it relates to immigration, et cetera. If you just type in Know Your Rights resources into your browser. In your community, take a look for crisis counseling for communities experiencing trauma. Again, these are all searches you can do. Therapists specialize in political trauma and local mutual aid networks and legal observer programs. There are programs out there. It is a battle. But, as I don't know if it was Malcolm X. I want to say it was Malcolm X. I'm going to give him credit for it. Sometimes it's better to die on your feet than live on your knees. For those people that need the resources, look for the resources so that you can, help bring us to a better America. So contact your elected representatives if you're looking for something to do to make a difference. Support legal challenges. Join local organizing. Tara said don't protest. Then he said do protest.
No, I did not say that. Here you go.
I'm telling you, join an organization.
I did not say that.
I'm just yanking your chain, man. Donate to affected families and legal funds. I had a kid from Iowa that I know called me a couple of weeks ago, about a week and a half ago. I was like, "Hey, Eric, what is your take on this whole thing?" And I kind of gave him my take, and he said he was going to do his best to get to Minneapolis to protest. So shout out to Zeke, who's again, somebody out there who cares and wants to help. Protest peacefully. You are protected by the First Amendment. They may try to take that right from you. You may actually die doing it. All really, truly great American patriots died to make this country a better place. So protest peacefully. Support local media and journalism. It is very important. Journalists are under siege. The truth is under siege. You saw in those videos where the administration told you what happened, and then you saw what really happened. That's why it's important to support local journalism, support local media. And I always say, vote. For those of you that think that it doesn't matter, I have friends that tell me I'm not political. Well, you know what? If it was not important, they wouldn't be trying to take it from you. So there must be some value to it. So
that's one way to look at it. Yeah.
So, Terrace, I know you wanted to give us some insight.
Yeah, I got some spots that I want to go through very quickly, and it actually supports what you're saying, Eric, and everything.
Yours, and I know we go back and shut up. I'm going to drink some of my Wawa soda.
There you go.
And listen to you. All right.
So first of all, I want to talk about looking away, which is considered spiritual abdication because it represents the refusal to participate in moral consciousness. So it's not just the avoidance of information, okay? Here's why it's framed as abdication. Number one, consciousness creates obligation. Awareness isn't passive. To perceive something is to enter into a relationship with it. When you see suffering and choose to disengage, you are, number one, refusing relational responsibility, severing empathy from awareness, there's that word, and disconnecting compassion from perception. So spiritually, this is understood as breaking the link between knowing and caring. So this is supporting what you're saying, Eric. Number two, silence becomes participation. Looking away doesn't stop harm. It protects the conditions that allow it. So this is why there needs to be some form of protest, okay? Not through malice, but through absence. In spiritual ethics, harm is sustained not only by perpetrators, but by witnesses who withdraw presence. So you got to do it. Silence becomes structural support. Number three, truth requires carriers. Truth doesn't survive on its own. It requires human consciousness to hold it, speak it, and protect it. Looking away is the refusal to be a carrier of truth, which means truth becomes fragile, distorted, or erased. Spiritually, this is abandonment of stewardship. Number four, compassion is a practice, it's not a feeling. It isn't sentiment, it's relational action. Looking away is not emotional neutrality, it's the decision to not engage the heart with what the eyes have already seen. So that separation is what makes it application and not detachment. Number five, witnessing is a sacred function. In many traditions, to witness is to affirm dignity, hold memory, preserve truth, protect meaning, anchor humanity in suffering. Number six, it fractures inner integrity. Spiritually, alignment means coherence between values, awareness, and action. So looking away creates internal dissonance. I know this exists, but I will live as if it doesn't. And where does that get us, right? 7, it abandons interconnectedness. So there's that word again, understanding that we're all one. Most spiritual traditions teach that separation is an illusion. Looking away says, this is not my concern. This is not my world. This is not my responsibility. But that's a lie, which contradicts the core spiritual truth of interbeing. So this is why that's a big issue. What bearing witness means in the context of ICE killings. Number 1, acknowledging human dignity. Number 2, holding power accountable. You got to hold them accountable. Number 3, preserving memory for community healing. Number 4, building collective conscience. Number 5, supporting those in grief. And number 6, enhancing public transparency. Right? Do you agree? Hold on, I don't hear you, Eric. I can't hear you. You must be muted. What's going on? You're muted. Your mic is muted. I'm looking at it.
I said I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
That,
so
transparency is key, and I like what you said about not looking away. Right? It's easy to look away. Right? It's easier to look away than it is to look and act. So absolutely. 100%.
Yes, and it's important that people underestimate. It's important that we have these discussions, right? We have them with our children, we have them with our friends. That creates consciousness, right? Which in turn creates change. It dictates how we move a little bit, right? And so it's very important. It's very, very important. Yeah. So those are some of the points that I wanted to make in terms of that really support kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I think you're spot on there, brother. Yeah, look, we went a little long today, and I'm gonna do my closing, just some closing thoughts, Terrace, and then if you want to.
Yep, I'll close.
I'll do it. But this episode is dedicated to Renee Good and Alex Preddy, to their families who must live with this unimaginable loss, to the Minneapolis community, which is enduring state violence, and to everyone working for a country where all lives are truly valued, to where federal agents protect rather than harm, where empathy isn't a political solution, but a basic human response. May their memories be blessings, and may their deaths not be in vain. Terrace, I'll give it to you. We can say goodbye.
Yep. Thank you, Eric. So I just want to say a prayer going out to Renee and Mr. Preddy. God got us and all that is. I recognize that there is one infinite presence, a spirit of love and justice that permeates every heart and every city. In this presence, there is no fear, only the light of truth. I call upon the Prince of Peace and the Divine Mother to walk through the streets of our cities, especially those facing the greatest tension. I ask for a calm to settle over the hearts of the angry, the grieving, and those tasked with enforcement. I declare a shield of protection around the vulnerable. I affirm that every person is an image bearer of the divine, and I demand that those in positions of authority operate with discipline, humanity, and integrity. I do not pray for a shallow peace that masks injustice. I pray for the courage to stand inside the pain, to name the violence, and to allow the truth to set things right. For those we have lost, Alex Preddy, Renee Nicole Good, and others, I affirm their lives were not in vain. I release the weight of this grief into the law of good, knowing that divine justice is never stagnant. I seal this prayer in the name of restoration. May revival rise from the rubble, and may our voices remain powerful agents of change. And so it is.
All right. Hey, man, good seeing you, brother. You have a fantastic week. To the Hope Show family, thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Go hug somebody.
Absolutely. Peace.